A year ago, on a night that was actually just about as beautiful as this one, I stepped to the podium at the annual meeting at Shelburne Museum. I think I saw Tom Denenberg in the audience. There he is. Coming to the podium today kind of reminds me how quickly a year can go. But it's really important to come together. These nights, they offer us a chance to be reminded what connects us, a chance to check our progress, to reflect on the work we've done and our future directions. But it also offers a chance to learn and celebrate the examples of leaders among us, leaders like Sister Janice Ryan. The Community Foundation's given other awards in the past for philanthropic leadership and community impact. But tonight we honor Sister Janice with our first ever Lifetime Achievement Award in community service. There are certain people who reveal themselves over time to be like tectonic plates, providing firm ground for us all to walk on while moving steadily and constantly in ways toward the community that we hope we all can be. They make the landscape we experience. In Sister Janice's case, that movement has always been through education, service, and social justice, offering the fundamental view that what we are willing to do for each other is a statement about the health and vitality of our communities. For the very few Vermonters who don't know her story, Sister Janice was born on a dairy farm in Fairfield, Vermont in 1936. During her last year in high school, she joined the Sisters of Mercy. Her bio is in the program, but I want to call out a few highlights. In 1979, Sister Janice became president of Trinity College of Vermont, a Catholic women's college for those who aren't familiar. As president of Trinity, Sister Janice presided over the education of thousands of Vermont women, all at a college that was a pioneer in education, community service, and social justice. She was an innovator. Trinity was an early adopter of programs that offered working adults a flexible pathway to college and career, and an early supporter and mentor for leadership at the Community College of Vermont. A former colleague noted that traveling with Sister Janice is like traveling with an A-list celebrity, which is rare in Vermont, because so many Trinity alumna would come to greet her simply to say thank you, and she always remembered them, their families, and even the projects they worked on. After leaving Trinity, Sister Janice went to Washington, where she served in a variety of roles: Director of Justice Education and Interfaith Relations for the Justice Project, Education Director for U.S. Senator Jim Jeffords, and Project Director for the Catholic Campaign to Ban Landmines. As Jeffords' Education Director, she was influential in the 1998 reauthorization of the Higher Education Act, bringing her pragmatism, passion, and the Vermont perspective to the Senate on that legislation. That bill created Gear Up. 20 years later, Gear Up offers critical infrastructure through VSAC to support the college continuation and attainment of first-generation and low-income Vermonters from every corner of the state. When you go out of these doors, it's quite likely you'll rub elbows, bump shoulders with students who've benefited from a program. There's no educator in this room who would say that lives haven't been changed. In 2003, she became Deputy Commissioner of Corrections for the state of Vermont, and while retired now, she still works frequently with prisoners. In describing her career to a friend, she recently said that for once she'd like to have a job that she knows how to do. That she had to learn each time something new has come along. College president, landmines advocate, deputy commissioner of corrections. Well, if it was improvising, you sure fooled the rest of us. The willingness to improvise and to learn along the way is something that we can all take to heart. So on behalf of the Community Foundation, I just want to say thank you for your years of service and recognize them. And we're privileged and delighted to be making grants to Mercy Connections and the Mercy Volunteer Corps in the amount of $1,000 each in your honor and recognition of your service. Thank you so much, Sister Janice. Well, I knew we'd struck a nerve when that announcement went out and I started getting the email communication about this. So you guys jumped the gun on the applause a little bit. I do have a special guest, John Tracy, State Director for U.S. Senator Patrick Leahy, who's going to join us for just a few remarks.
Good afternoon. It's an honor to be here on behalf of Senator Leahy. He's down in that big cafeteria in Washington trying to turn tater tots into potato wedges, if you will. But I'd like to read some excerpts. The senator put into the Congressional Record on September 6th a statement about Sister Janice, and I'd like to just review a few of those excerpts for you. In the case of Sister Janice, community service extends well beyond the borders of our small state. Through her lens, the community is global. Perhaps it was her work ethic and duties of stewardship that she learned growing up on the farm and the responsibility that comes with that, or being the eldest of 6 children. But since joining the Sisters of Mercy as a teenager, Sister Janice rose to whatever challenge she was presented and brought her trademark energy, compassion, and influence to every task. Before most of us heard the phrase mainstreaming, Sister Janice worked tirelessly to ensure that children with special needs received the education they deserved, first at the state level, and then later as a staff member of the U.S. Senate. She later, serving as project manager, director of the Catholic campaign to ban landmines, she was a great ally of Senator Leahy in the work they did in the 1990s, and since then, to rid the world of landmines. Her passion and commitment inspired Senator Leahy and many others. To go back to the CR, what is common in all her work is her heartfelt belief that we cannot and we must not lose sight of the poor and vulnerable among us. She is masterful at bringing opposing sides together and finding the common language needed to move us forward. In these times we live in, we need many more people like Sister Janice in the world. When Sister Janice received her honorary degree from UVM in 2008, she said, "I truly believe we have a purpose that is related to some greater force. It is almost impossible to imagine life without a belief in a higher power, to put it in secular terms. There is so much in the world that calls out for it." And Senator Leahy closed the CR by saying, "Marcel and I have seen Sister Janice answer the call many times over. For that, our state, our nation, and the world are all better. We are very grateful. And while this is not in the CR, we have a lot of discussion about church and state being separated. I think we're all better off that through Janice Ryan they were able to hang out together." And a personal note from the senator: "Dear Janice, Marcel and I are so proud of you. You are one of our longest and dearest friends. Love from us both, Pat."
Speaking of long and dear friends, I'd like to invite Peggy Williams to share some thoughts on Sister Janice and her career. Peggy worked with Sister Janice early on at Trinity College before becoming president of this college right here, Lyndon State, and serving from 1989 to 1997. She was on the Vermont Community Foundation board for 5 years, and she was a founding council member of the Vermont Women's Fund. After leaving Lyndon, she became the first female president of Ithaca College. She also made the drive over Stannard Mountain from Johnson on the back road today and reports that the leaves are well ahead of schedule up there.
So on my way over, I thought it doesn't get much better than this. I'm back in this familiar space, in this place I love, to honor my mentor and friend, Janice Ryan. So it just seemed like this was a good time to be here for this event, although she thinks I'm somewhere else in the world at this point in time. So as we honor Janice today, the words of Margaret Mead are echoing throughout Alexander Twilight Theater, and I quote, "Never doubt that a small group of committed and thoughtful citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing that ever has," close quote. Whether as convener or rabble-rouser extraordinaire, Janice has a unique gift of bringing small groups of people together to discuss and debate matters of consequence focusing on such questions as what matters, what can we do about it, and what will you do about it? During my years at Trinity, I saw Janice instill in students, faculty, and staff the urge and the commitment to address issues of social justice and social change at the individual, group, and community level. Whenever I went off to a conference, as we all did, I knew I had to return prepared to answer these questions when I would inevitably run into her in the hallway. She would say, "So Peggy, what did you learn? Why does it matter? What will you do with that new learning?" Surely conferences were not just relaxation events when you worked for Sister Janice. Her professional work and her co-curricular work have transformed thousands of lives, and she has sent those thousands on their ways to improve the human condition and to transform even more lives. To me, it's like tossing a pebble into a pond and watching its impact go on and on. Janice chose to live her life as a sister of mercy. But in the words of Anne Lamott from her latest book, Hallelujah Anyway, Janice was destined for that life and was mercy long before she joined the order. Lamott says, and I quote, "Mercy means compassion, empathy, a heart for someone's troubles. It's not something you do. It is something in you, accessed, revealed, or cultivated through use, like a muscle." Janice Ryan is muscle. No, sorry, Janice Ryan is mercy with muscle. Congratulations, Janice, on this very well-deserved recognition.
Thank you. Thank you very much. There is something about being on a college campus. It's like the first day at school. It always kind of comes back. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, does this audience look more like the freshman class or the parents? But in either case, thank you for your acknowledgement. Thank you, Community Foundation. And Margaret Williams, known as Peggy, is supposed to be in Germany today, according to my calendar. Maybe they didn't let her on. No surprise whatsoever. I just want to say in recognition of this award that the acknowledgement of Janice Ryan has 1,000 hands are on this award, beginning with my family, my sister Rose, who is here today. Certainly the Sisters of Mercy is a very large hand over these many years, and with their support, sometimes for things that weren't quite usual, and I am very appreciative of that. I have to give you just a quick story on that. I got assignments, so Sister Lucille, they were assignments. And it was working with a group of parents who in fact had children or youth who were handicapped. And their meetings were at night, and this is back in the day. And you had the convent closed at 9 o'clock at night. And I was a very young sister at that time. And so that required some special permissions because that meeting didn't end at 9 o'clock. And this went on. So when I say I've had great support, it always seemed I was a little bit outside of the margin. And it started with having to have a special key. So there you are. For all of the hands that are on this award, I wish I could say stand up, because many of you are right here in this room, and it's a very large thank you. I said to Dan when he asked me, or later I guess, this would be like a living wake. And it's been delightful. Thank you.
Final note. It is also tomorrow Sister Janice's birthday. So if you wouldn't mind, it would be remiss of us, I think, not to sing happy birthday. I guess I'm starting. Happy birthday.